That Haskell and Singletons, they were Mormons.
Aha! Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were Mormons.
Now we're getting somewhere. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
My mother's father worked for at the Haskell Ranch, right there where in Santa Mateo County.
What year was that?
That was when my mother used to go to school at that schoolhouse
What year?
back in the 30s, early 30s.
I don't remember her.
Yeah.
Because I was there in the late 20s.
She said in the early 30s, 1932 to 35.
Well,
she
that
went
was
to school.
after my time.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. She
Yeah.
was there. She lived there with her father.
Because the school was there up until 1935. That was it. After that,
She graduated in 1935. That was the last
that
year.
was the last year. And you know, the lady, the last teacher they had there, they wouldn't give her a teaching job here because she was Catholic.
What?
But the Singleton, the Haskells, one of the Haskells married a Catholic girl. She was of French descent. Her father was a railroad foreman here on the railroad. And she was Catholic. And through her, this teacher, because she was Catholic, that's where they put her to teach from 1930 to 35 over here at the little
At the
school.
little school.
The priest that was the head of it, and they were all Franciscans. You know, the brown robed, good priesthood, and my gosh, they had all these Indian kids from the reservation. In those days, they didn't have like they had later on. Later on, they had Orientals, they had blacks, different nationalities. Before that, they were Indians.
Did they teach them English at St. Boniface?
Yes, sir. Indian and English and Latin. Said that, you know, I knew that boy. That's not your name. Why do you say that in Spanish? He said, my grandpa told me to tell that to the teacher. So then I had to tell the teacher, his name is Emilio Chavez, not Emilio Sorra. See? So I had to be an interpreter for some of these kids, and some of them, they were very polite. You know, they come from families that were well educated, very polite, especially the little girls. And some of them, they looked like Americanos, like, you know, white people.
Widows.
Blue eyes, light hair. So I had to ask them, ¿Cómo se llama, niña? So she'd tell me their name in Spanish, so I had to translate it into English and help the teacher write it out. I did my military service. I have 2 plaques there that the government sent me. 16 years that I served, but mine was more or less political. And the governor, right when the war broke out, I went over there and here, said, I guess I'm going to be called. I was only 29. I was married when I was 28, and I told her, said, they're going to call me. I said, you're probably going to have to go home. And you know, by gosh, I went in and told the military man here, said, well, I'm ready to go to serve. So they gave me my uniform. I had a uniform that, by gosh, I was a classy guy. I had a blue tie, an overseas cap, this khaki color, and a belt with a brass buckle on there. 1960, 68, come along, and I was building the fire station for the city here. Here comes this captain. And he asked the fellow that was helping in making the mortar for us and sailing it up to the scaffold, said, "Could you tell me where Mr. Ray Flores is?" He says, "He's up there in the scaffold." He said, "Will you please tell him that Captain so-and-so from the United States Army is here, wants to talk to him?" So the fellow come up there to the scaffold. He said, "Ray, that Captain so-and-so wants to see you." So I came down. I said, "What can I do for you, sir?" He said, "I've got this paper here about your military service that you helped us in World War II, and we're in need of you again." In the office, he said, I read here that you can speak several languages."
Oh,
I said, "Yes, I know a few languages." So I can speak Italian, I can speak some Portuguese, and of course English and Spanish. I said, "Well, that's good enough for what we want."
interpreter.
So my other partners that were with me, "Oh, Ray, you don't want to go in there. They're liable to ship you overseas." I said, "No, they're not." By gosh, I was in there for 4 years till Mr. Nixon bungled up, and that was it. See?
Her nephews.
He always used to, after he'd get through with me examining my eyesight and this and that, and we'd have something to talk about, and then he'd talk to me the day that they bombed New York was the day I was in there. That's when he told me about the rattlesnakes that he was hunting at 2 o'clock in the morning with the moonlight. I said, "Doctor, you were looking for trouble."
You better believe it.
He said, "Have you been back?" He said, "Well, I was thinking of going back over there, but," he said, "I don't think the same owner is there anymore."
Or the same snakes.